Hello, and we're back to Filter Optional. I am Chico West. I am the no filter.
Yes, and I am Shannon West. I'm the filter.
You're the filter in
For sure.
so many different ways
Yes.
in our life. I love when we get together and do podcast.
I do too. And today we are celebrating 26 years of marriage on the 26th.
Of August, yes. Is that crazy?
Yes, and today, we'll get to it, but we're going to talk a little bit about how men and women are different. And I can attest after 26 years that men and women are very, very different.
I can attest that too. I grew up in an all-male family.
Yes.
Then we have 2 boys, and now being married, I can attest to that. Well.
I don't have the support of other women around me in my home. Even our dogs are
Both
males.
Yeah, they like to lift their legs. It's like they mark their territory.
Yes, all of y'all.
Yes, we
All of
mark our territory.
And when we go on a road trip and we get out of the car and we're all like having to go to the restroom, I'm like, unlock the door, and they're all in the backyard peeing because they can do that.
Yes.
I'm like, I need to be let in the house so that I can go to the bathroom, and they're all like, oh.
No, exactly, but it's good. We mark our territory in the backyard. We don't actually go to the bathroom in the front yard. It's like
not the front yard. It's after pulling into the back.
Yeah,
yes, but
I that's what we like.
I have trouble expressing my needs as a woman and getting those needs met sometimes. So I think we can all kind of relate to that.
Yeah, so today is August 26th. This episode won't air until, like the 29th or 30th. And so we're, we've done a lot of episodes. I think this is going to be 106 episode.
Yes, and we have special guests here to mark that 106 episode so that
I want to give a shout out before it was like yesterday. I just got back from California, looking at maybe doing some things in California, and Mental Health Collective, Aaron Oliver goes, "Hey, how's your podcast? I really like it." And so this is my intro. He goes, "Do y'all have, who lately have you had guests?" And I am going, "We got guests today."
That's correct.
I love that we have 2 guests.
Because they will be able to speak to our topic better than we can. Because I am on the board of a nonprofit here in Dallas called ARM. It stands for Adult Rehabilitation Ministries. And I started working with them when you were still at CASA, and I always said, they provide the same-ish services that CASA provides at a much
more cost-effective
way, but they do such good work that I wanted to be involved. And there is a woman's side to the program called WARM, obviously Women's Adult Rehabilitation Ministries. It's all under the same umbrella as ARM, but they are equals and getting help. But as we just talked about, men and women are different. And so we have the executive director for WARM here and an alumni of the program here. And I'm going to let Cynthia Jackson introduce herself a little bit and talk about WARM so that we can.
Cynthia, we're excited to have you here.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much, Chico and Shannon. I really appreciate this opportunity to come and tell you my experiences that I've had as the director of the Women Adult Rehabilitation Ministry, known as WARM.
Yes.
We are an extension, I like to say, of the Adult Rehabilitation Ministry. I started there about 10 years ago as the office manager. And from that, I assumed the leadership role of the Women Adult Rehabilitation Ministry, WARM. And it's been in existence for about 6 years now. Mm-hmm. ARM started 19
89.
89. You got it. 1989. So it's 32 years that ARM has been in existence, and it's 6 years. We started the women's ministry 2016. So I came on as the director in 2018, 2 years into that. And we have had, since the ministry has started, about 100 women that have come through that program. And our mission is to transform chemically dependent individuals into a loving, accountable program. It's faith-based, 12 steps that we do. It's a process in a residential setting. So this women's program is actually our first residential setting. It was started probably about 7 years after the ARM ministry was started, and it was an outreach, as an outreach program. And it ran for probably about 10 years after that. And then, like I said, just recently we started the women's residential program, and it's been going on for 6 years. So we've had about 100 women to come through there, and of that, I would say it's about 50% that have remained sober, have lives clean. They have been able to go and get their children back. They have been able to get new jobs, training. The process that we have with the women is the same as that of the men. We have 3 phases. It's primary, where they stay for 6 months. And then after they graduate from that, they go into the aftercare program, and that's an additional 6 months. And then for sometimes they may have a relapse, and those women and men are allowed to come back, and that's the innovation process. So that's the 3 phases that we have. And the innovation process is for those individuals to kind of refocus, to get back and reestablish what their goals were, and get back on track to go out. I am real excited about the women's portion of it. It's because there are a lot of women who are in need of treatment. But as we have discussed earlier, there are barriers
Yes.
that prevent them.
I want to get in those barriers, but you have someone sitting next to you. Who is that? You want to introduce her?
Yes, I do. This is one of my superstars, I call her.
Yes.
She is a graduate of the women's program. She came through our program, and her name is Miko Nails.
Hello, how are y'all? My name is Miko Nails. I graduated in June 2020. So
Oh, right during the pandemic.
yes.
Oh my goodness.
At least I wasn't there during the pandemic because I don't know how they're doing it. I'm very proud of the women and men that are there now because it's so hard not to be able to go to meetings and interact with other
Connect.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
hard.
and so you were already there, and you had community, and you were building community. Yeah, so tell us a little about your story.
My daughter came through the program first, and she graduated the program, did a year, and she prayed me into the program, basically. I'm on everybody's prayer card every day because she wanted her mommy back. And she came and picked me up off the streets in June of 19 and told me she wasn't taking me back again. So she brought me to Miss Jackson and was like, Miss Jackson, help my mom. And they helped me, and I'm grateful for that. I have since then got 2 jobs. I just been promoted to a general manager position at a trampoline park.
Awesome.
So I am very overwhelmed and very excited for this new phase of my life.
Well,
So
and-
you have a couple years of sobriety, you have your family restored, you have, a job, you're not living on the streets, you have your own housing and everything else.
I'm working on my own house, but I have my car. I have my family back.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Man, praise God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Praise.
That's
Yeah.
one of our goals when they come through the program is that we want them to get reconnected with the community. We help them do that. That's at 6 months that they come through there. They get jobs. They save money. The first 4 months they're there, we want them to actually come into and get acclimated into the program with all of the classes that we have. We have NAAA classes. We now do the life skill classes. We have a licensed professional counselor who is there, so they receive
Counseling.
counseling. They
Therapy.
also receive the psychiatric
Services, yeah.
evaluation.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the mental evaluation part. So we partner with that. So they get a lot of
So it's in some ways it's kind of like the second step. You know, in the big book, do you know how the second step is in Alcoholics Anonymous? We came to believe
that a power greater than
a
ourselves.
power greater than ourselves.
Could
could
restore
restore
us
us to
to
sanity.
sanity.
And
There's
that's
an old
exactly-
saying, and that is like, first we have to come, then we come to, and so in a lot of ways, when you're out there using and on the streets, you know, it takes a while to come to all the drugs and the alcohol get out of your system, and then you come to believe. So that's that kind of that 3-phase process that you're
Exactly.
talking about. It's
Exactly.
like, Miko, you first, you know, your daughter took you there. You know, you first came, and then you came to. You know, your head in those first 4 months.
Wake at clarity. Some
Right.
clarity.
Getting some clarity, and then you got some little gifts, and you go, okay, I can do this.
But
Because I imagine when you were on the streets, you didn't think it was possible.
No.
Well, no, yeah, I want to talk about some of the barriers specific to women because, you know, we concentrate so much on men, I feel like.
I've had men's programs. We've
yes.
talked about men's programs. We've had Obi, you know, the director of ARM. We had Pastor Parker. It started through Golden Gate. He
Yes.
was on here as well.
But
That's
I
true.
think
I've seen that.
before we continue on to talk about it, I think that everyone, I mean, we're here to talk about Warm and what they're doing in the community and all that kind of stuff, but every woman or person that has women in their life should listen to this because we need to educate the masses on the barriers that women face and why they aren't seeking treatment.
I like barriers. I like also obstacles.
Obstacles, yeah.
Yes, I
mean,
think
that's-
women. I literally,
Obstacle, yeah.
I was talking to a woman that runs a program. I think I shared that with you. That's, you know, her name's Kathy. She's been sober a long time. Since the '70s. She runs a women's program out in California, and we were just talking about this before even coming on here, just about different barriers and obstacles that women have. So what do you see, Shannon, as some of those barriers and obstacles?
Well, I see obviously biology as an obstacle as far as women's bodies, their responses to substances, you know, how they metabolize alcohol.
Do you
or
want to break that
drugs.
down for
Yeah,
you real
I would
quick?
like that because
Yeah.
yes,
And so
you're the pro.
So
I would like you to do
it's
that.
real easy if you look at it this way. If you have a woman that weighs 150 pounds and a man that weighs 150 pounds, they drink the same amount of alcohol. The woman's blood alcohol content will be higher than the man's.
Exactly.
And so they process it a lot, a lot slower. They get intoxicated quicker. They might not look intoxicated because of tolerance and, appear kind of functioning and stuff like that. But, if a man 150 pounds drank three equivalent shot and a half or beers or whatever, he might have a 0.06 or something. But a woman would have a 0.10, and be legally intoxicated to drive versus a man.
Right.
And so it's wild.
And so there's that, the biology of it. And then also, can you speak a little bit to how a woman's disease can progress faster than a man's?
Yeah,
speak to
the
that.
progression. Well, we know that addiction is a progressive disease. Okay,
Right.
and so it progresses faster. With the biology, with how they metabolize, the substances and stuff like that. But it'll progress faster in other ways where there might be sneakier behavior and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, and then again, just sticking to the biology, women are the ones that carry children.
Yes.
I mean, as much as the world probably would like to, anyway,
That's a
whole different
podcast.
a whole different topic. What does the CDC refer to it as? birthing people or something. It's like,
Yeah,
no,
it's
they're
like,
women.
okay.
It's women. It's women right now, today.
I think
But-
that's an obstacle. I
but
think
if
that's
that's
an
an
obstacle.
obstacle because-
But pause for a second.
Okay,
I think
sorry.
that's a obstacle, and I don't know about y'all. I'd love to get your input. As like all of a sudden, the CDC is saying birthing people instead of no. We are different. Men and women are different, and it's like, why are we trying to change that? What God created. I mean, do y'all see that? Does that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, women do. We can carry the fact of the word that you use versus us birthing children, having children. We can endure a lot more pain when we do that and we go through that. I was reading an article, I think a couple of days ago, that was saying if God had made everybody equal, where men could be able to actually birth children, so they would understand and see the pain of what we all would go through, what the women actually go through. Women, when we talk about addiction and the barriers of what they have, because women deal with the pain aspect of it so much, they will tend to get, and I think I was reading something also about CDC was saying it's with the meth and cocaine, it's about 50% of that. But with alcohol, as you were saying, the women will appear more intoxicated than a man, being the same weight, same size, because of our bodies, what we can handle and what we cannot handle. So it makes a difference.
Well, and I
if
like what
women,
you said.
real quick, just to top that off, if women are pregnant and they're using, they get blamed. They get blamed like they're unfit mothers and all that kind of stuff. The dad is, if he's out using or whatever, he's not blamed for anything that happens to the unborn child or, the consequences of that. It's the
But
women,
like what
yeah.
what Cynthia's saying is like women, when y'all do bear children, y'all are able. I don't know what God did, but y'all are able to go through those birthing pains. The Bible talks about it. Like a woman, and it's like I don't know it. I've watched it. Okay, that's about it. But it's like you go through those pains, and then there's the joy right afterwards, and it's like you forget about all that pain. But I think some of that is one of the barriers that keeps women, from getting help.
Right.
And that's just me, because I think since women can endure so much physical pain, they can, in some ways, they can endure a lot of emotional and mental pain as well when it comes to addiction and cover it up. Does that make sense, Miko?
Yes, I mean, I was homeless for 3 years, and I would rather, instead of asking anybody for help, I would just be out there, and I mean, not eating, digging through dumpsters, sleeping on the street. I would rather do that than go ask a friend, hey, can I sleep at your house, or can I do this? And also, it's like your weight. I know if somebody tells me I'm overweight, I can go get one, and I can lose 15 pounds. And we do that, so now I'm comfortable with how I look. Recovery hot, they say. Because I'm happy and I love myself today, because I know that I don't need to go out and use nothing.
Yes.
But those are feelings every woman has, is that we don't want to ask for help because we think we should have it all together. We've done podcasts on asking for help and asking for what our needs are. We don't ask for what we need.
And society, I think a lot of times fuels it as well. It's like, I don't know about y'all, but some of those barriers and obstacles, because Shannon was, we were talking about this, and it's saying, women are catching up in the, addiction to get help. I think just women, there's a lot of shame placed on women if you do ask for help.
Exactly.
Yes, because
And
it's like, why did you give your children?
Yes.
Right.
Or why weren't you there for your children? Because I just gave my kids away. Here, y'all take care. Somebody else take care of them, because I'm going to go get high today.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel the guilt and shame from that, because I did abandon my children. So now they go through mental issues. My oldest daughter, like I said, she brought me to the program, and me and her used together.
Yeah.
So, and now it's just and you have to go through forgiving yourself, and God's forgiven us. And my daughters forgave me, but you have to forgive yourself and learn to love yourself again.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's just on top of that, it's like I love what you're saying, Miko. Is you have to forgive yourself, you have to do those things, but it's an addiction.
Yes.
And as an addiction, lots of things get in the way of our of our own stuff. And so when we have that, it's like it's not that you're a bad mom, it's not that you're a bad person or any of those things. It's that you had an addiction and the addiction took over.
Yeah.
And so we see that all the time. So those barriers happen wherever we are. I think they're just more exploited with women. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, they are more exploited because men seem to get away with like disappearing and helping themselves and
Well,
what I mean?
and that's where I think there's this cultural shift. I mean, and Cynthia, you said it. It's like earlier. I don't know if you said it on this podcast because I'm confusing when we were talking before. Okay, but these women get their children back. You said it, Miko. I get my children back. Mm-hmm. I see men. They get their. What do we say? The men get their dignity back. They get their job back. They get their self-esteem, and then and their family. It's like fourth or fifth on the list.
Right.
Does that make sense? It's like the first thing we say about women is, they get their children back.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And we also downplay a lot of their women's problems because what's put out there, and especially on social media now, like if you watch TikToks or whatever's out there, whatever they're like, we want this is mommy's juice, this is it's wine time, or whatever, and rosé all day, and you joke about moms drinking because they need to take the edge off, or they're coping with stress, or they just need to sleep. They need to sleep. And so when you downplay that, it's like, even when like Miko's homeless and like, I can't take care of my kids right now. And she's not thinking like, oh yeah, I'm just going to have a little glass of wine to, take the stress away. It's harder to address. I'm sorry. I'm not making my point very well, but it's harder for people like Miko to seek help when all around her are people just like, hey, we can drink because we're moms and this is what we do. We kind of joke about it too much, I think. Maybe.
We're dealing with the stress. I think a lot of the barriers of why women don't seek help going to treatments is the shame, what you were saying. It's the culture of what we're living in. It's kind of like they don't get the support that the men do. It's a factor of the family will say, oh, well, you shouldn't be doing this. You're a mom. They expect a lot more from women. So because the women decide, well, I don't want to seek treatment because, first of all, it's shame. I bring shame to myself, shame to the family. I'll lose my children. There's finances, the fear of losing their jobs, their fear of losing their homes, their houses. And it's kind of what society says. So they figure, goes back to, I can handle this. I don't want to get out there. I don't want to go to treatment, even though I may need treatment, but I don't want to go to treatment because I don't want to bring shame to my family. Yeah. I'll lose my children.
Well, and I think that's a big one is that losing children. It's like I believe a lot of addiction, yes, shame-based, but it's also fear-based. Mm-hmm. I'm fearful who is going to take care of my children if I get help.
Right.
Exactly.
And so there's this fear of, a lot of times men, if they have, young kids and stuff like that, they're not fearful of who's going to take care of their kids because the wife's going to do that.
Yeah. Right. The
mom.
mom.
Y'all are caretakers. You can't, I'm almost 53 years old and my mom can't stop being mom. It's just like, okay, I have my own wife and 26 years married and my own kids. And she's just mothering all the time. Exactly. It's just that's just human nature. There's a difference right there.
Right, completely.
Yeah, and so those barriers get in the way a lot of times. And what I believe another barrier is you know, I love your story, Miko. I also see this other barriers. Women, you know, that don't get help is they're hiding. They're better at hiding their addiction. It might go to the extremes that you went to, Miko, but there's a lot of women out there. It was pretty evident when your daughter picked you up in June of 19. You're living on the streets. I'm not bailing you out. I mean, hello, I mean, no one's
You got to go to treatment.
denying
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
correct?
Well, I'm a 24-year addict. So
Yeah.
for 21 years, I hid it. I
Yes.
would hide in the bathroom, hide in the closet, hide in the bedroom, and lock the doors. Kids are at school, you know. But eventually, it gets to the point where I can't afford a house. I lost the house. I lost the car.
Right.
I lost everything.
Yeah, so there was signs, you know, 15 years ago that your addiction was prevalent, but you were good at covering it up, and you probably had people in your life that kind of downplayed it, discounted it. You know, maybe people even intervened at different times. But you said that for 21 of the 24 years, it was, you know, off the rails. You know, so those last 3 years is when you ended up on the streets. And so what we're trying to say today is, you know, I love that Warm helps women off the streets, but it also can help women that were like you for those first 21 years, and that it's all right to get help.
Right.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
and so
And that's what we want them to know, that we are here.
Yes.
Yes.
Warm is here. It's an extension of Arm. Just like the men need the help and the support, the women do too. And
Yes.
that the Women Adult Rehabilitation Ministry, we're on site.
Yes.
We are here. Same location as the men,
Yep.
as they call down in the bottom.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
We are there, and we are that extension of the ARM program, to where there are so many women, and we just want them to know that, hey, there is help, there is hope, and we're here to supply that.
and here's the other thing is, I don't know. This is just maybe I'm too old school. Maybe I'm too you know, I don't know. I like that Warm and Arm are separate, but one. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
You know, that they're two separate programs, but they're one program. Okay. And
I think what you mean by that is that they are two separate programs because they have to be treated a little differently with women and men, but they're equal. And there's a tendency in a man's world to, you know, view things as like, we talk about it under the umbrella, like Warm is under the umbrella of Arm, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus like you being a man, but but they're really equal. They are different but equal, and sometimes that gets a little. It's like let's take care of the men first. Like we're filling those beds. Let's like fill those beds. It's like we can fill the women's beds. We just need people to know that we're here.
yes, and I want to get back to that. But
Yeah.
my point was a little
sorry.
different.
I'm
That's
sorry.
all right. And what I was saying
Yeah.
is I was out in California, and there's a program that, you know, that's has two programs, a women's program and a men's program. They're both, you know, they're both the same name, but they separate them.
Okay.
You know, they're, you know, probably 5 blocks apart, you know, and stuff like that. But I like what they were saying is like with women, and I think one of the obstacles that women have in recovery, and Miko helped me out because I like what you were sharing, is men, it's easy for men to build community with other men in recovery. Women tend to want to build, you know, community with men when they're early on. You know, they want to get that deal. I think that's an obstacle that gets in the way. What I like about that program that I was at in California is like, the CEO of the program was trying to say, hey, let's get the men's and women's programs together for, you know, this barbecue. And the women's director was going, no, we're going to keep them separate because right now they're early in recovery and they'll get too focused on those guys.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
It's like that at the Warm. I mean, Arm Ministries too, because they don't want us fraternizing
Exactly.
because we're new in recovery, so we come from the streets to where we cling to other people that were we're alike. So okay, if I go, he'll give me cigarettes or he'll give me some money or, so they try to keep it separate, but we learn all together.
Yes.
But we have to have our boundaries, and they have to, and accountability. So they give us enough freedom so we can prove to ourselves that we can achieve our goals, and
Right.
we don't need a man today.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing. That's where I think that sense of community comes in. And I don't know, Cynthia, you can respond to this as well. It's like men, like at ARM, guys, to build community, and it's in, in their phases, but sometimes it's playing a pickup basketball game, or doing some kind of sports activity. Women sometimes struggle with that early in recovery. I've worked with a lot of different women, and early in recovery, they when I met with them individually, I go, you need to get a female sponsor, you need to hang out with other women, you need to do this. He goes, I don't like women, they're all bitches. That's what they say.
And that's part of that barrier.
Yeah.
Part of when you say community, we try to get the women, and that's why we have in the Warm House, it's that, yes, we have when they first come in there, is that we're one, really, but we are separate, as Shannon says. We have the same classes, we teach the same classes, the NA, the AA, they go together that. But then when it comes to activity, outside activity, that's where that separation comes. And then we have different classes set for women to where they learn to set boundaries. They learn to respect themselves. They learn to say, you know what, I can do this without
A man.
There you go. There you go.
And so it's like guys, when I had Gaston House or other things like that, or Casa, is like, these guys, we could come up with different, fun activities and stuff like that. It's like with women, sometimes it's like for you early in recovery, how do I interact with other women that we both enjoy it? I look at your nails; they're beautiful
Okay.
and stuff like that. Is maybe sometimes it's like how to have like pampering days.
Yes,
and stuff
so
like that.
that's
Exactly.
that's what Cynthia and I have talked about, and I have talked to a nail salon in the neighborhood, and I'm working with them to offer that kind of stuff, and we're going to try to offer that because, of course, a man would say, well, I mean, it was easy to think of stuff to do with the guys because you're a guy.
Yes.
So it's easy to think of stuff that y'all would want to go do. But it's easy for women to think of what women
Yeah.
want to do. They just need to be heard.
But at the same time, Shannon, I
That was a big
agree
deal,
with that.
yeah.
But it's like women can you go to the nail salon by yourself, and so it's
Yeah, no.
you can do some of that stuff. But I like seeing when
You have
when
to organize the activity.
Yes,
Yes.
you get other women, and you can be getting your nails done, but you can socialize and interact and learn how to have relationship and community. And I like what you said, Miko, before we got on, is like you want to give back, you want to share your story, you want to do what the 12th step talks about, having had a spiritual awakening.
So like, we have a group of alumni women that get together, and we'll go do lunch, and we have a chat that we all chat on to experience. If we have a problem today, we can express ourselves, and we're just out there to reach out to each other. I come back, I go to the ARM program to share with the women. If I have ups, they've seen me get my jobs, they see me get the car, they see me do this, do that. But when I have a bad day, when I had my breakdown or I'm overwhelmed and my mind is going crazy,
Yes.
I come back and be like, hey, this is real, like this is happening, and I'm self-sabotaging myself thinking I'm not worthy, I'm not gonna make it. And I'm like reaching out to them. I'm like, but I don't have to get high today. I can come and talk to y'all because y'all are going to be like, Miko, we'll pray for you.
Right.
Miko, we're going to walk through this with you. When I was...
Or maybe even take it further is like, Miko, okay, what part are you playing in this?
Just my
where
mom,
people are, maybe helping and challenging you.
Yeah, and that part, and like when I was in the program, we would go shopping just to go to...
Just to get out.
Just
Yes.
go
Area.
go to Walmart and walk around and go grocery shopping. We love that. And that was
Yes.
just what we, go to Fala's and go buy some clothes or Dee Dee's just to get out of the house or get away
Yes.
from just to be women and feel like a woman.
Yes.
So that's the community. That's the building the relationships. And that's one thing that we focus on too there for the women. We have the classes all together, but then there are certain times we have our own separate groups We have our own separate outings. We also have another group that comes down, and when you talk about the activities, the basketball and stuff, they do volleyball, and they do that together.
Yeah.
The men and the women, and we kind of combine that. So there is a distinction. We always want to make sure that the women know women are different. There's a little bit extra that they need that the men say may not need. Some men maybe like to go and do shopping and what have you. Yep. But for us to be different, you can't do 24 hours a day of just grinding and learning the material, learning how to stay clean and all that. That's something that both men and women need to do.
You brought up something that just brought back a memory. When I was working in an outpatient program 25 years ago, I had this woman that got out of primary treatment. She was doing IOP. I was her counselor, and she came in and we did an individual session, and she goes, Chico, I don't know how to go grocery shopping without having a toddy. I always had, and she called it a toddy. She always had a mixed drink going in grocery shopping for her kids and her husband, and she's going, and so it's like, those are the differences. The necessities. We need food, and we need to go get the food for our house. Men aren't thinking that.
No.
And so there's that difference right
Men
there.
also don't think it's calming to walk through Walmart. I can find a great sense of calm just walking the aisles of Walmart.
And so right there's a difference. I like
With
that
a
we're
cart.
laughing about that.
Yeah.
It's y'all's
Right.
way of kind of tuning out. Our way might be tuning out on the golf course, on the basketball court, pitching horseshoes, whatever the situation is, playing cards.
We learn about triggers, and everything was a trigger for me. I
Yeah.
did drugs for 24 years. Going outside in the wind blowing, I had to go get high. Like the sun came up, I have to go get high today. The sun's going down, I need to get high today.
Right.
And so everything in
And
my
that's why
life had
I like
to change.
I like that you say that, Miko, because I used to be about triggers, but triggers are everything. When you're in your disease, so it's just like, it's life. It's a good day,
life.
get high. It's a bad day, get high.
Right.
It's raining, get high. It's sunny, get high.
Right.
It's the perfect kind of California weather, 70 degrees.
Get high.
It's get high.
Okay, right.
So
they don't need
I like
the things of what turns people on to women onto getting drugs or alcohol. You just said it. It's a good day, but there's stress, there's pressure, there's depression. Those are things that drive women to the drug effect. They are
Right.
introduced at an early age. A lot of them go through trauma.
Yes.
And they have no one to reach out to. They have no one to speak with, so they turn to drugs.
Well, and I like that we're talking about this. So, correct me if I'm wrong. I got 3 women in front of me. It's like there's this, I think women are harsher on other women. And we
Yes.
pass
Yes.
judgment. And so
That's true.
today on this podcast, I really want to challenge y'all before I ask for y'all to give money that are listening, is to really think about, man, maybe one of my friends, instead of passing judgment, maybe they have an addiction issue. Maybe it's this sense of, maybe they're struggling and they've been hiding it for so long that they don't know. Does that make sense to y'all?
Yeah, are you saying that instead of admitting that I might have a problem, I'm just going to pass judgment on?
I'm saying that, but what I'm saying is to the listeners out there that don't have a problem,
Right.
To how they view their friends that might be struggling, to get out of that mindset of, well, maybe that woman that's my friend.
Yes, it goes back to that whole analogy of, if your friend calls you and tells you she was just diagnosed with cancer, what are you going to do? You're going to start a meal plan for her. You're going to,
Exactly.
you're going to
Exactly.
offer to take care of her kids. You're going to do everything else. But if your friend calls you and says, I'm a drug addict and I'm going to go get help, you're like, oh, wait.
It's not, and a lot of us don't understand that it's not about choice. It's an
No,
allergy
right.
of the body and an obsession of the mind.
Disease, right.
You know, and so right there, it's that disease.
And I think at our core, as women and moms, I know that Miko didn't want to give up her kids.
For sure. I
She
saw
didn't
the
wanna-
tears in her eyes
she didn't wanna
as she was
lose her
sharing
kids.
her story.
We have got to understand that as women and as moms, and we have to support each other instead of judging each other, because we know at our cores, moms don't want to give up their children or lose their children. They don't want to be on the streets. They don't. Women,
they're-
women don't want that.
And I saw the same
They
thing
wouldn't
you
choose
saw
that.
sitting in this room hearing Miko share her story, and I didn't want to. I did not put my counselor hat on and go, okay, hey, well, really, what's those tears? But in
Yeah.
her heart of hearts, her addiction took over, and you gave up your kids, but that's not who you are.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like
It's not who you are.
at
Yeah.
all, and it's like, man, that's how powerful addiction is. For 21 years, what we might call a functioning addict, but not really, but it got unfunctioning, you know, those last 3 years,
Yeah.
and went to some dark places. But it's like, that's not you. That was the disease.
Well, and as women, we can be vulnerable. Like my drug of choice is people pleasing and, productivity and control.
And checking things
those
off
are-
a list.
Yeah, those
yes,
are my
she's a
drugs of
list
choice.
check.
And so, but my life kind of became unmanageable when I operate in that people pleasing and control and everything else. I lost control of. It wasn't substances for me particularly, but I lost control of everything. I mean, I have an autoimmune disease. I physically have shown up that way, and I have longed for community of other women to support me in that, but I've been afraid to admit it because I'm supposed to have it all together. I'm supposed to,
And that's the thing I think where we go back to when you were talking about other women judging women. We don't cry out for help. We don't seek that help for fear of being judged.
Judged.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yep.
If I had my bell, it's that fear. It's that
fear
it's
of
that
being
fear of being
It is.
judged by my peers, my gender peers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's like, so I don't ask for help. I end up on the streets.
Yes.
The last thing I ever wanted.
And I'm do what I know. So I'm bipolar, manic, and I didn't know I knew all this, but I didn't know all this until I came to the Warm program
Right.
because they give me that support and they help me go to innovations and they get me on my medication so I don't have to self-medicate. So
Right.
that helped me get off my roller coaster because I'm going crying and happy and mad and all in 5 minutes, and I'm grateful for that because if not, I would still be getting high today because
Yeah.
I don't know how to control my emotions.
Sure.
Oh my goodness.
Sure.
And I think, Miko, there's this 21-year-old young lady that I know where she works, and her the people at her job reached out to me. She's not an addict, but she's gone through all this trauma and has lived in some unhealthy neighborhoods in the Dallas area, and her brother was in a gang and got shot, and she saw his he's dead.
Yeah.
And she was been abused by her dad, and I got her help with a counselor and with innovations, and man, I saw her the other day and she's smiling, and I think I don't want her to go to self-medicating.
Yeah.
Because addiction could take over, and she is the sweetest young lady, and I brought her into my backyard and opened up and go, I want to get you help. And we sat outside, and Shannon was looking at me, talking to her, and I tear up because it's like she could be, she could end up, down the road where you are. And it's like, man, she's alive. So it's getting help for women, and she was so afraid to ask for that help.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't want to ask.
Right.
Yes.
We don't want to be the weak one.
Right.
A burden.
That part.
yeah. Yeah.
And so I think about this. I'm hoping everybody's still listening. And it's like, it's incredible what ARM does, WARM does. And today, yes, I mean, ARM gets money, but I'm asking today that you'll make checks or you go online and give money, but put warm down in the you know,
And
in the
it's
memo
so
part.
easy to give
It's-
online. It's so easy to give
and
online.
do the same thing. But the crazy thing is, y'all help women at an incredible cost. 1 month to sponsor a woman is $500. You know, for the
Yes.
6 months is $3,000. That I know people that are listening right now that would be easy for them to do. And so it's like, man, I really want to challenge people today to pray, to talk to your spouse, to go, hey, what can we give? You know, Shannon and I'm gonna say it online. Cynthia, I don't know if you know this, but we're gonna give $5,000 to Warm. You know, and so that is our commitment. I hope I can
Thank
get.
you.
I'm hoping I can get 5 people to match what Shannon and I are giving. You
Yes.
know, and so
love that.
that is, you know, that's our commitment because we love to see people restored. You know, and you know, and thriving now. You're not just surviving. You were surviving on the streets, but now you are thriving, Miko.
She is.
You know, you
Yeah.
have
2 jobs.
you're having your you're having your feelings. You know the old saying of what sober means. Son of a bitch, everything's real. You know? Now we have, you know, it's real. But right now, it's like you can give to Warm, which is part of ARM, and it's armdallas.org. ARMDallas.org.
That's our
Okay,
website.
That is
That's
the
the
website.
website.
You can mail a
Donate
check, or
button.
you can donate on the donate button. But I'm really challenging everybody.
Or you
that's
can contact
listening.
us personally, Chico and myself, or filteroptional@gmail.com.
Yes.
But yeah,
And
and
so-
we can tell you how to.
And
give.
and if you're doing that, we would love to see that. We would love to see as much because, man, we want to get out like what we're doing today, and let other women know it's all right to get help.
Yes.
Let other women know that, hey, there is help out there.
Exactly.
That your life can be restored.
Restored. Mhm.
You know that you can feel like a woman again.
Yes. Yes.
You know, and so those kind of things. It's like I get excited to sit here in y'all's presence and truly feel honored
Oh, thank you.
to be, you know, a part of this.
Yeah.
I am so I don't know, overjoyed, and I am very appreciative to have this platform to be able to speak to those women. And I couldn't have said it better than you. There is help. There is hope. There are women out there who need it. And to all of the listeners on your podcast, as he said, you can go online to the armdallas.org website, click on the donate button, and just make sure you put in the bottom part, the memo section, that this is exactly for Warm, and that's what we're trying to do to support those women. And it's just like it's only $500 a month, but believe it or not, there are women who can't even afford that.
Of course.
That's one of
Yeah,
the,
I mean,
the
that's-
downfalls. So if you're so willing and capable,
Yep.
please do that.
Please
Thank
do
you
that
so
because
much, Chico.
Yeah.
Cynthia, it's really
Yeah.
Shannon and as well. I mean,
Yes.
she's been fired up about this. I know y'all
I know.
have you know built a good little relationship. I get
ma'am.
excited about
I am
that.
so
you know,
grateful.
Well, yep. I'm going to be reaching out.
and so
All you listeners, we're going to be talking about needs that need to be met.
yeah, and there's a lot of other
In
needs.
addition
and
to the financial needs. Yeah.
and what I like is, man, Cynthia and her team and the other people at ARM are prayer warriors. You know, and so when Miko, you're going through there, they're praying for you. You know, and so it's like those same things is like let's get out there and help. There's a lot of great opportunity to see people's lives changed.
Yes.
You know, and so the other thing is you can listen to us. So Cynthia and Miko, if people have Spotify, you can share this episode with them.
Or
iTunes,
iTunes.
you can share this
And
episode.
it'll be on our YouTube page.
And so people can go and watch. You know, I don't like watching because all of a sudden I go, wait a minute, I have a double chin. You know, but
come on.
but I do like watching that I look really young. I
Okay.
think so.
It's time to wrap up.
Yes. But I thank y'all, and until next time, filter optional out.
Thank you.